Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone, if you enjoy this content, please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Kelsey Bruchal. See, I get tongue-tied twisted with Bruchal, right?
Yes.
Okay, see, I got it, everyone. I'm not even going to get into it, but I get tongue-tied twisted at least once, and at least we got it out of the way here early on. But
Oh, yeah.
she's on here to share her health and fitness journey with us. She's coming to us all the way from Florida, where, I do not even want to ask what the weather is like, especially with all the heat wave that most of the country is dealing with right now. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Kelsey, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Well, I just got to get this out of the way because I always ask what the weather's like, no matter how many times it annoys people. What is the weather like today?
Hot, rainy, and sunny. It's like sunshine on one side and then dark clouds on the other side. Florida.
The only problem that I have with Florida is that just how damn muggy
Humidity.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. After it rains, it's like humid. My hair's like, dang it.
Like walking out to get your mail, you will get sweaty, basically.
Yeah.
So it's just, yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you deal with that? Because I could not even do cardio because I love the only aspect about cardio that I enjoy. I love going on walks, but I could not do that in Florida because I would probably lose about 5 pounds of water weight every time I went on a walk. Then
Yeah, I don't go on a lot of walks, and if I do, it's when the sun's setting. Or I like to rollerblade a lot throughout my neighborhood.
you're one of those people. At my nature, because I live right next to a nature park, we have a lot of rollerbladers too around there and stuff. It's a good workout. I will give you that. At least you're not one of those people that they have the skis on, but it's during the summer, so they're I forgot what it's called, and then they have the things that they push and stuff. It's not. Oh well, it's cross country basically, but it's not really skiing because it's the skis have blades underneath them.
Yeah.
So I forgot what it is, and I was like, okay, that's just a waste of time right there because they're trying to adjust and stuff, but it was. Yeah, hey, more power to you because if I was in Florida, yeah, I would not be leaving the house really unless it was absolutely necessary a lot of times. But before we get into the Florida weather woes, to get things started, why don't you just first off give us your backstory? What inspired and motivated you to get in shape and how that led to you taking the bodybuilding stage and just your journey?
Yeah, so my story is almost kind of similar to what you were telling me before. I tore my ACLs playing basketball in high school. So I was a big athlete, softball, basketball, all up to high school. And then I tore my ACL sophomore year, the right knee, and then I did the left knee senior year. So I was like, great. All right, well, I guess I'm not going to play college basketball anymore because at this point, there's just no way. And I'm not going to stress myself. So I'm like, okay, let me stick to schools in Florida. So I finally got into the University of West Florida in the Panhandle, Pensacola. And then I said, all right, I love sports. I like helping people. So, okay, I'm going to do exercise science. So clearly that's kind of can be a trainer. You can do physical therapy. And so when I was there, I started kind of missing a part of a team, part of a sport. I just missed that. So I worked out because I was already working out prior, but the recreation was so cool to me. So I ended up working out more every day. I would go, and then it kind of became my therapy in a way and my escape. I'm done with studying. Oh my gosh, I get to go work out. Finally, I was so happy. The endorphins I got released. Someone then told me a couple years in, because I did both my undergrad and graduate school there. And grad school, someone was like, you should do a fitness competition. You would do really good in a bodybuilding show. And I'm like, really? Because I put enough little size on me where I know I wouldn't. They were like, you wouldn't do bikini, you would do figure. And I'm like, what's that? I knew kind of about it, but I wasn't I don't know, social media was kind of just happening because this was around 2014, 15. It was kind of picking up, but I just got an Instagram my freshman year in college. So it was new. And then I'm like, okay. So then I don't know, it took me a year later, and I was like, you know what? I'm in grad school. I need something. I just kind of felt I want to try to give this thing a go. And someone kind of told me that I could do it during school because I was scared I couldn't do it. And they're like, just do it, just go for it. I'm like, you know what? You're right. So I signed up in 2016 and did my first show, 2017, sorry, during school, but it wasn't that bad. I made do. Yeah, it was hard, but it was my first one. So my coach was very easy on me. And after that, I got the bug. And
Well,
so
I
I'm
would
like,
be remiss if I do have to add everyone. She does not have a natural lisp. Can you explain to us what that is?
oh
Because
yeah,
I will have people come in and he was like, oh, she's got a lisp. Yeah.
I know. Yes. So I just got Invisalign, and I'm not used to it, so I clearly have to have it in, and my S's sound a little weird. Sorry, guys. Promise I don't sound like this.
No, no, it's not a problem at all. I just don't. I know what my guests or I know what my audience will comment down below. She's like, "Oh, does she have a lisp or something like that?" And I was like, "Well, no." So I just had to breach that out there. But no, I mean, like with your journey into bodybuilding, did you have any reservations about the sport? Because so many people have myths about bodybuilding in general, and then when you add the female aspect to it, those myths just get amplified like times 10. Were you concerned about anything, or was it one of those sports where you just want to dive right in and see what happens?
Um, I also followed so bodybuilding.com. Actually, I was like an ambassador for them back then. They like reached out to me. They're like, "Hey, will you be ambassador?" And I'm like, "Is this real?" And it was like legit. So they would send us, me and a couple other people, send us products to try, and then they're like, "Just talk about it." But it was free products. So I also followed Ashley Horner. Love her. I loved it because her body was like muscular but feminine looking, and I loved like, and she was an athlete, and I just loved what she brought at like beauty and strength was her big thing. So she found like her confidence, her beauty, and her strength in the gym, and that kind of like what I started to do in college. And then the fact that I kind of was like, all right, I want to be like more fit, like buff and strong, and like her. So I was looking for coaches, and I found a coach. And honestly, I I do the natural bodybuilding federations, and I didn't even know when I signed up for my show. It was a local one in Pensacola, and my coach even said, "Oh, you like are doing an OCB like natural show." I'm like, "Oh, there's a difference." I had no idea that there was drug tested and then a non-drug tested organization, the NPC. I was just like, "Oh, I just found a local show. Cool, boom, that's it." And then when she told me that, I looked more into that, and I'm like, you know what? That's what I like. I'm not gonna dive into none of the other stuff, and I respect people who do it, who don't. As long as you respect me, my decision, I respect anyone else's decision. It's their own body. Like they know what they want to do, and I know what I want to do. And that was just kind of something I was like, I'm gonna take the natural route all the way through.
I jumped into that rabbit hole one day, and I wish I hadn't. I will
Yeah.
just say that like when you do your research and stuff like that, where you're just like, yeah, okay. So that was definitely an eye opening thing for myself as well. But what were your friends and family's reaction like when you announced them like, hey, I want to get bodybuilding to try? That's not something that a lot of people hear.
Yeah. I was actually my family lives down here where I'm at now, South Florida. So I was the only one up in Pensacola. So when I told them about it, they're like, okay, but they weren't with me during the prep. So they didn't see the ins and outs of like actually how tired I would be and how hungry I would get. And then my mom was like, I told her about it. She was like, oh, that sounds cool. Like, I know you're an athlete, so you miss being competitive on the stage. And I was like, yeah, and I think I would do really good at it. And my mom even like drove up when my sisters drove up to me for the show, and they did my hair and makeup, and then my mom was there like supported me, and they were all very good about like supporting me because they knew I loved it. Like I have a passion for fitness, and I train because I love to train, and then the competitions just kind of go along with my training. So I was like, okay, cool. But yeah, they were. It wasn't until like I came back home and I was with them, and they kind of got to see, oh, she has to bring her meals with her when we do family gatherings. I have a big family, lots of nieces and nephews, and I'm like, so we like to do big, huge dinner things, and then I'm like, bringing my food, and they're always like, well, you can't have this, or can you have this? And I'm like, no. And I try to explain to them. It's hard sometimes. Like some people get it, and some still don't. Like I can't.
How do you deal with the holidays? Do you let yourself go just a little bit on the holidays, or are you still just like no? Because I know some people it's sort of like a half and half situation.
Yeah, I actually have never competed or been in a prep around the holidays, and I think I'm gonna keep it that way. I love me. I love food. And I love sweets. So my family can cook, and oh my god, me thinking that I want to be able to eat, I thought probably would be like, forget it, coach. I'm having a cheat day today, like on Thanksgiving or Christmas. So I try to work my way around it to where I don't have to. And I'm actually, if I go up to Worlds in November, that will be my last competition, and it's literally the week right before Thanksgiving. So I was like, perfect. Then season will be over.
Dear God, you're gonna put on like 150 pounds over Thanksgiving. Jeez.
I gotta keep it careful though. I gotta pace myself.
Yeah, I know. Hey, that's the way it should be. Like, I don't think they should ever have competitions like right after holidays or anything. Like that's just pure torture, at least in my opinion. There, but I mean, this is so much more of a mental sport than it is a physical sport, and a lot of people they might just walk up to you and be like, "Oh my God, Kelsey, you look amazing." If they haven't seen you for a while or whatever, they don't understand all that mental transformation that's taking place as well, which is 100 times more important than any of the physical changes. What has this journey been like for you mentally?
It, hmm. I would probably say that mentally, just kind of not getting in my own head about thinking like I'm comparing myself or I'm not good enough. But this last prep and so far, like the beginning of this prep, it was just more of me. Like I'm actually was physically and mentally in a good spot to start the prep more than I was prior before. So that's been a big help. But I do get into my head sometimes. I feel like I'm not ready. I'm not good enough. I mean, I think every competitor does that. But it's just kind of not letting your emotions take over because sometimes emotions are not true. They're not always true. So I have to remind myself, okay, no, I know what I can control. I have today, and that's all. Don't worry about tomorrow, next Tuesday. Focus on today. Get what you need to get done. And I'm a big like check things off my list. So I'm like, okay, workout, cardio, done. Go get my workout. Check, check, check. Like all my reps and sets. So it's kind of how I help with my mental.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to be on the top of your game mentally, and a lot of people just don't understand that and don't realize that, like, this is more of a sport that's going to be played in your head than really anywhere else. I mean, you're going to
Yeah.
have those moments, especially working out a lot of times, sometimes by yourself. I mean, you're just going to be in that huge mental headspace where you're going to need to find ways to just cope with that. And do you have any way that you're able to do that? That you like any advice for people on how to just cope with that headspace that you have? Because I'm not gonna lie, even there are times with me where it's like, thank God I don't have my phone with me when I'm working out or doing any of that stuff because it's like people might think I'm an insane person then if I was like tweeting some of the things that I was thinking. And so when you're that isolated, so how do you
Yeah.
deal with that?
So I think waking up and having the right mindset right when you wake up. Either listen to something. I right away I would turn on motivational music when I would get up to do cardio because there's some days I'm like, oh my god, my body's like, I do not feel like doing this right now. I'm tired. I just want to go back to sleep. But as soon as I like flip the switch, put the motivational stuff on, start getting in my head. I'm like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. All right, I got this. So then I start kind of going, drive to the gym, get in my zone, with again listening to music or motivational music or just kind of like that really what is that Eminem music, lose control. That song, that's a good one. Or till you collapse. And then once I'm like at the gym too in the cardio or the workout, I again just kind of either put a hat on, put the hood on like everyone does, and then just zone out. And I try not to be on my phone like too much Instagram or social media. I do listen to YouTube though. So that kind of helps like maybe I watch like someone else prepping, like I'll watch their YouTube series and they're going through like something talking about it. I'm like, oh, that's okay. They're telling me I can do this. I got this, and I'll watch like series of that, so that helps. Definitely with cardio.
Oh, absolutely. With cardio, if you don't have a movie or a TV
I
series or
know.
anything like that, God bless you. Because I mean, I'm not gonna lie. During the first few months of the pandemic, like I watched every movie that I could. I watched every TV show. Like I ran out of stuff to do, so then it just became a disaster for me where I had to figure out other ways to like try to entertain myself. Because yeah, if you don't have anything to get through cardio, you're either an insane person or just I have no idea. I have no
Yeah,
idea really what to do with you on that. But I mean. I also love to talk genetics on this podcast because I hear this all the time. Oh my God, I want her abs, I want his arms, I want their back, and I just want to strangle them and just be like, you do not understand that you can work out just like a person, you can eat just like them. Unfortunately, genetics do play a little bit of a factor where you're not going to end up looking exactly like that person. But on top of that, whenever someone first gets started working out, they always have that one body part that really, really takes off that they don't have to train as much and they have that one body part that just drags behind. They have to train to oblivion to get to catch up. What was one body part that really took off for you, and what was one body part that you just had to drag behind to get it to catch up?
yeah. Mine would be my legs, my quads. I always kind of say those are my money makers, my secret weapons, because I always get the most compliments on my quads. They're like, "Oh my god, your quads! How do you get your quads?" Da da da. Even at shows, like had one guy like, "You're the lady with the legs" or something like that. I'm just like, I've always had them like genetically, like I've just been gifted with good quads, and even with like my ACL tears, I had to then go back in the gym and work my leg muscle, my quads to kind of build back up because surgery was 6 months of flat little baby muscle quad. It was just like nothing was there. So I'm kind of like I definitely take my quads like they're my thing. But my lagging part, I think I would have to say my shoulders. My caps right here. It took a while to kind of like build those up and over the years. I think within like the 5 years I've been bodybuilding now with like competing, I definitely have seen growth in those, but those were like lagging before. And then my back, I mean my back was good, but it took some time to get the width. the lateral spread. Um, yeah.
So you're the exact opposite of me where I mean my back was the one thing that took off for me because I worked a lot of warehouse jobs like in college and
Oh,
stuff. So
oh, yeah.
you're either getting a really nice back equip, yeah, loading like 60-pound boxes, like get 400 of those done in an hour and you're just like, yeah, okay, yeah, we'll get that done. So, yeah, but I'm also 6'3", so my legs and my lower body are just absolutely shot where I could train every day. I could train them and they'll gain probably about 1% of the average person. Calves, don't even get me started on that. I could do 10,000 calf raises a day. That's the most genetic body part on the planet. I don't care what anyone says. You see someone with nice calves, 9 times out of 10, they have never worked them a day in their lives. They're just naturally born like that. So, yeah, I mean, at least you're not a soccer player, because I've had soccer players on and they're like, oh, yeah, my legs, my calves, and I'm just like, okay, screw you. Where it's like, just get up.
Yeah, but it's funny because people think I'm a soccer player. A lot of people think I'm a CrossFitter, and I'm like, thanks for the compliment, but no, I'm a bodybuilder. Dang it. I get like compliment. Are you a CrossFitter? No.
Just say I'm not that injury prone. I love CrossFitters, but that's a whole different podcast right there because
Yeah, I
I've
know.
had plenty of them on. That's a whole different sport where it's like I want to train at 8 hours a day, and it's like, well, yeah, you're okay, whatever. So yeah,
Yeah.
I've had plenty of CrossFitter friends too, where it's just it's a whole different breed. But I mean,
Yep.
especially with the myths that I deal with on this podcast. I mean, one of the most prominent ones, it's gotten better the last 5 years, but there are still so many women, especially, that have that fear that if they walk into the gym, they pick up one dumbbell, they're going to put on 50 pounds of muscle overnight. And I always respond to that. If that does happen to you, you will probably be the first ever trillionaire because everybody and their brother will buy whatever you are selling. You will be the biggest commodity of all time. Did you ever have that fear when you were getting started? And even if you didn't, I mean, I bet you still hear that all the time today. How do you like to respond to that?
Oh yes. I was a personal trainer. I'm a PE teacher now, but prior I was training up until I stopped to do PE teaching. But whatever. What was I saying? Yeah, all the time I had the girls because I mostly train girls, like women. I want to look tone. I hate that word, but I don't want to get manly and bulky. I'm like, oh my gosh. First of all, you don't even have the right. Like, we got to start. Like, I would just kind of tell them that's not how it works. And I'm like, if anything, you're going to be like changing your body composition is going to change. You're going to get more curvy. The muscle building is going to help with the fat. You want to lose fat, so you have to build muscle in order to do that. And I'm like, you're genetically just not going to do it. I'm like, unless you go out and take something enhancement and I don't know about, then yeah, you're going to probably get there, but you're not going to get there naturally. And I always try to tell them and explain that to them. But I also think too, like, Instagram or like the internet has kind of done a bad job and to let women think that because of like certain trends and whatnot. And so they're like, that's the only thing they get because that's what they've been following.
If there was ever a campaign to erase the word tone from the English language, I would support it wholeheartedly, and I hate that more than life itself when I hear that all the time. Oh, I just want to get toned. I was like, well, what do you mean by tone? They're like, oh, I just want to lose some, fat. And it's like, well, what do you think's going to be there when it's gone? You just want to be all skin and bone, basically, then by the end of it? So it's just...
Yeah. Go run every day for 5 hours, I guess.
Oh my god! And you'll still have some muscle because you'll develop some muscle from that. You won't just have all skin and bone. I mean, I just don't. I mean, again, it's a lot of ill-informed people, and I blame a lot of other. I don't blame that person. I blame the way that we teach health and fitness in this country a lot of the times too. But I mean, it's just it just gets me going almost every single time. But on top of just everything else in this lifestyle, nutrition is one of the biggest ones. And I mean, so many people don't understand the impact that nutrition has on this sport. What were some of the bigger nutritional changes that you made when you first started to take things seriously?
I never heard of macros or really what that entailed. And then my coach said, oh, so I do macro counting for you. She's like, I don't necessarily give you a meal plan. Like, I'm not going to tell you what to eat. And I'm like, thinking, okay, like I've heard some bad things about a meal plan where like it can be very more restriction and like it's more strict. And then after you have a bad rebound. So she told me, she was like, but I'm going to give you your macros and then you're just going to practice using my fitness pal, plug in the foods that you like that fit your macros. So I'm like, okay. So at the first couple of weeks, it was a little bit challenging, me figuring it out. But then once I got going, I was like, oh, this is great. Like, this is awesome. Like, I can eat, like, I don't know, the Kodiak cakes and fit that in my macros, or I can go out and get like Halo ice cream, like while I'm prep. I'm like, my refeed days, this is cool. But before that, I thought I had to eat the broccoli, chicken, sweet potatoes. And yes, I was in shape, but I was still eating too much and I wasn't getting the right protein grams. and I had no idea like per gram per body weight for the protein. And then it wasn't until I started having like my ratios and my carbs, fats, and proteins that I was starting then obviously see results once I was in my prep. I was like, oh, light bulb. And me like being an educator, like in school, they didn't obviously like we had a nutrition class, but it was more of like for sports or athletes. So they didn't really like break down like a deficit is the only way to lose weight. They talked more about different things, and I guess I didn't really think much of it when I was there to ask questions. But then afterwards, I was like, oh, this is how it works. This is the magic pill I've been looking for.
So the magic question is, how did you deal with being on prep and dealing with the lack of nutrition when you were a PE coach? Because like I could never, just dealing with those little kids or dealing with those kids even without being on prep. But then being when you're just all drained, how did you deal with that without having to maybe like strangle one of them just every once in a while?
Yeah, I'm in middle school, and every time
Oh
I say,
Jesus.
see, that's people's response. I'm like, you gotta have a backbone. I don't know what is there else to say. I just, yeah, they're true. Oof. Anyways, that's another topic for another day. But actually, when I started was in 2020 during the pandemic. I got the job for August of 2020, and this is like I've been subbing, getting ready to teach, but I was not like I've never been in like a classroom or anything by myself. This is my first like real teaching job. And they tell me, all right, here's your keys. And I'm on prep because this is in 2020 and I was prepping then. I had a show in September and then October. So August, I'm in the middle of like prep getting ready for my first show. I don't know how I did it, but I managed to get through prep during the panic. Anyways, they're like, here's a key to the classroom. Here you go. I'm like, classroom? I'm PE. Because of Zoom and kids, we had to wear a mask. No regular PE. You can't go in the locker room, change. I was in a classroom and I had 20 little eyeballs or whatever more, 50. I had a class of 50 just looking at me, staring at me. And I'm like, hi, I'm Coach B. And I was prepping. I don't know to this day how I got through. I think I used a lot of energy drinks, which I know they're bad for you, but I'm not lying. Those got me through the morning. BCAs on deck. I would shake with BCAs. I just had gum. And then I would kind of like think, okay, I can get through these hours. I have lunch, and then I have this snack, and a little protein snacks throughout the day would help me. And then I would try to save my carbs right after school. I would go work out to the gym. And even this last year, I was prepping in beginning of 2022, and we were in school still. I just kind of did the same thing. I kind of get a method going. I have like a system where I'm like, okay, this is when I eat, this is what I drink during this period, blah blah blah, and it just kind of ends up working. But it's definitely I have to think it through. Wasn't.
I'm a night owl, so even getting up those teaching hours, I could never. I mean, I would honestly have to think of maybe making cocaine as an investment in myself or something like that, because it's like it is not gonna happen. But more props to you teachers for all the crap that you guys deal with and still show up. I mean, just to show up alone, you get like a medal and a monument. But yep, that's the little things that go along, with this sport. But when you walk on that stage and get to show off all that hard work that you've worked months upon months on, and you've gone through a peak week, and you've just done all that stuff that requires to just step on that stage, what is that moment like for you, being able to finally show off that all that hard work that you've worked so hard
on? Yes, it's fun because I just kind of think about it's just me and the lights, and feel like I'm glorifying myself by just being under there, like like not saying I'm like the be all, but like
she's the second coming, everyone.
It's just like just me being myself out there, and then just kind of like here I am, like it feels like I can't explain it sometimes because it's just a great, wonderful feeling, and it's just kind of anything you worked hard for. I feel like if someone accomplished, like I graduated from grad school, it's like that. Oh, I did it! Like look at me, kind of thing, and it's just amazing. I don't know. It's just a cool feeling, and I love like the process of show day. That's fun to me. Getting ready.
What was your favorite part about show day, and what was your least favorite part about show day?
So my favorite part is I like getting glammed up, but I also like to meet the girls backstage. I always think that's fun. I always kind of walk away with little friendships, and like we start following each other on Instagram and things like that. And then, there's some girls that keep to themselves. So, and I kind of try to do 50-50. I'm like, okay, I need to put my music into focus, But then I'm also not gonna be like, oh, I'm a bitch. Like I'm gonna say hi, and if someone needs help with their suit, like I'm gonna help them. And then I know if I talk to them to help me
We're
out,
gonna
they
help
will.
them unbutton it a little bit. Let's not lie there. We're gonna
Yeah, so there's like, oh, I'm gonna have a mark on her right here. No. Um, yeah. So, and then my least favorite. Well, you mean like this past show I did?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. Cause I one thing I did not like, my least favorite was the tanning to get our second coat on Saturday was outside, and I was in
First of
Sacramento.
all, look at this pure Norwegian skin right there. You know how many layers I would have to do to order to get that?
You need
I
like
would
5.
bankrupt. I would bankrupt the tanning company. They would run out of tan for me.
What? You have to
Yeah.
pay extra just to get more.
Oh my god.
And the only thing is, it was outside, and I was in Sacramento, and it was literally 103 degrees out, no wind. It's different from Florida because we have the breeze off the
It's
ocean.
just the dead heat. Yeah, yeah.
Yes, and I did not like standing outside waiting. I had to wait and wait for the other competitors in front of me to get theirs done because they were going on ahead of me. I got a little stressed from that, and I was trying to calm myself, but it's hard. Like, and that's one thing too. You can't control it, and then like my stress levels. Sometimes I can't control those, and those affect my body. And I look sucks, but I might do my own tanning next time. I'm looking into doing that, so we'll see.
Well, you brought up, and I was going to bring it up later, but you brought up stress is a huge thing in this sport that is not talked about because people do not understand how big of an effect stress can have on your body. How do you find ways to de-stress other than, I don't even know what I would do to de-stress because for me personally, like as soon as I get stressed, like
I know.
unless someone walks up to me and is like, hey, here's $1,000, like I am still going to be stressed.
I know. Yeah, I kind of also missed the athletes meeting because my makeup went over because they were late starting my makeup. I was there on time, so I was like, man. So then I missed the athletes meeting, and I was like, oh my gosh. And a competitor was like, I got you. Calm down, girl. You're okay. And she told me. But after that, I just could feel myself. So I called my coach. My coach couldn't be there, unfortunately. So I called her and I told her, and she kind of calmed me down. So I wish almost she could have been there. I think I probably would be less. She would have de-stressed me because she would have took care of everything. She would have told me, "Hey, this is what we're doing." So then I kind of had to just text her, and like that was okay. But I was still it. Yeah, I try to just talk to myself. I guess calm myself down. But it's sometimes like you said, it doesn't work. I'm just like it's there, and it's hard.
Yeah, like I'm one of those, like even as a baseball pitcher, if we won a game 10-1 and I gave up one run, and we were still like winning, I would still be pissed. Like I would still like, they're like, Ryan, what are you upset? And I was like, we gave up, like, what do you? So yeah, so that's why bodybuilding might not have been my sport in the long run too, because I was like, oh my god, yeah, it's a whole different thing right there. But now we go to my favorite question on this entire show, because so many people do not understand that it is the hardest thing in this sport is the posing. Would have never guessed it in a million years. We get that reaction almost every single time that I even bring up the word posing. But what has your experience with posing been like?
Um, yes. So this last prep, I found out just how posing is big because it wasn't really like this is probably bad to say because this is my fourth season. This like fourth prep. Sorry. I just started posing way earlier out, and I almost did it every single day. And I did it on days I was tired towards the end. I'm like, I would love to go home after my workout and cardio and go eat, but no, you need to do it now when you're depleted, you're hungry, you're tired, because it's going to help you get that like muscle connection kind of more. You might be on their stage for 10 minutes. I've been out there for so long and I'm like shaking, but I knew that I wasn't really quite ready. So I wanted to be ready in case that happened for this show. And doing that helped me so much. Well, Night Owl's coming out.
Oh
I'm
my
kidding.
god, I'm not okay, everyone, for class, I got up at 11:30 today and the podcast was in half an hour. So, I'm not going to lie. So,
I gave him some time at least.
It's not because of her, everyone. It's because I am just naturally a loser that gets up at 11:30 during their one day off of work, everyone. So, there's that.
Yes, that is okay. I do the same when I can. But yes, so I found out that I was like, whoa, I liked how I did this posing way more than I'd done previous preps. I kind of waited towards the end and I didn't do it as much often as I should. And then this time I did it and I was like, yep, because even the judges said, even though I got second place, they're like, your presentation was great. We have nothing to say about it. No posing critique. You just have to come in leaner. Those two lovely words, or three. Come in. Okay, aka starve myself
I'll just
more.
magically lose I'll just magically lose that, yeah.
Just okay, in my mind, I'm like, all right, suffering more and more.
Who needs skin anyway?
Yeah, I'm like, I might as well just be non-existent walking around. Don't talk to me, people. I'm super hangry. But yeah,
I mean, the leanness, I'm sorry, but like that's the one thing for me. It's like with this sport is just the amount of lean that they make you have to be where it's like you can tell how in shape a person is without getting to that like extreme lean, especially for natural shows too, you'd think, where it's like obviously, yeah, if you're doing NPC, then yeah, get as lean as you want because you can just take the stuff that really helps you achieve that leanness. But yeah, that's at least my whole 2 cents with that as well. But after the show, after everything's all said and done, all the pain is gone, everything like that, what is your go-to post-show meal?
first thing is always a donut. I've been doing that ever since. I know it's kind of the tradition for me though. It's always a donut, and then I actually usually go to a restaurant and I get like burgers, sweet potato fries. I don't know why. I'm just craving sweet potato fries and a big juicy burger. And then sometimes I'll have like other little pieces of stuff. But this time, because I've never been to California and they are infamous for what? Their In-N-Out burger. So
Don't
I
even
was like,
don't. I mean, it's. I'm sorry, it's overrated. I've had it once, and it was. Yeah.
but it was so good though. For like a little fast food joint, I would rather have that than McDonald's. Like, and then we got it quick, and I had to sit down and wait, and I was like, I did have that, so that was my thing. And then I went to BJ's restaurant.
Well, here's the thing, everyone. So on Tuesday, it was my mom's birthday, so we went out to Chili's, and I've never been to a Chili's before. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie, never been to a
yeah,
Chili's. The best food chain hamburger I've ever had in my entire life.
I agree. They're good there.
I never even knew that. Like, first of all, I thought Chili's was a Mexican restaurant the whole time, so I was like, wait, they have hamburgers there and stuff like that. So then, as soon as I had it, I was like, holy crap, this is really good. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go for the Chili's now from now on. Whenever I get, I mean, normally my whole thing would be I would just rent out a Five Guys if I ever competed and just be like, you're gonna feed me until I puke, pass out, or throw up. Either way, that's just how it's gonna go. But yeah, Chili's, everyone. I'm not being sponsored by them at all, but everyone, surprise. I did not expect it to be as good as it was. It was definitely a good surprise for me. It's not like have you ever heard of Juicy Lucy's?
No, we don't have those.
Well, because it's a Minnesota thing. It was invented here,
Okay.
where what they do is they cook the cheese inside of the meat of the
Oh,
patty. But I went saw it was my birthday, 4 days before my mom's, and so we went to a place for that. I don't get how hard this is for some people. I'll have a plain hamburger. That's all I want. Plain Juicy Lucy. So just the cheese and the patty, and then I put ketchup on it. I'm a
yeah.
simple guy. Let's put onions on it too.
Oh
That's what the cook
no.
just decided. So yeah, that ruins your entire rate. I mean, I should have just told him, it's like, I'm a Yelp reviewer. I should have just made a scene or something like that out of that and be like, you guys are. But no, it's like I don't. I mean, I'm one of those people where I am so plain. I'm such a plain Jane that anytime it gets wrong, it's like, how did you mess this up? You were
Yep.
the bare minimum. So yeah, that's my tangent there on talking about how people messing up my orders is just, for me, it's like I don't get how you can be that bad at something, but hey, that's how it goes. But I mean, we talked about it before. I hate cardio more than life itself. When I say cardio, I mean actual running. I've always made the joke to friends, you're going to need to chase me with a knife if you ever want to see me to run. That's basically the only scenario that you'll ever see it. But what is your relationship like with cardio? Because unfortunately, when you become a bodybuilder, you sign a deal with the devil when it comes to cardio.
Mhm. I'm like you. I actually do not like to run. I I was always more of a sprinter, short
You were
distance,
that girl on the court that was lightly jogging up and down the court.
probably, yeah. And then if I would run to the bases, but I would run fast, but I wouldn't like I don't know. I would like love-hate relationship with it. And I just knew for me and my knees, I'm like running, like don't even give me running for my thing, my cardio. So I go about it with LISS, low steady state cardio, and then I just have a number of calories I need to
I'm
burn.
sorry, you said that with your list, and you said list with your list, and that
So
was the great.
I was
That was the highlight of the podcast right
I was
there.
debating. I'm like, do I say this word? Oh gosh, how's it
Do it,
sound?
everyone. Do it. It makes it so much better. We're not laughing at you. We're laughing with you.
Yeah, but that's what I do for cardio. And then, except for fasted cardio, my coach makes me do sprints, and then I have to do the stairmaster, which I save that thing until prep. I ain't gonna step on the stairmaster during off season. I do elliptical, and that's it for like calories burned.
That's what I will be doing right after I'm done talking to you, because I got another podcast in 2.5 hours. So I will be doing that in between, so I can get my cardio done, so I can enjoy my
Yep.
margaritas tonight every Friday night with the
Ooh.
family. We all go out and get some margaritas, and so yeah, I do have to do that. So yeah, just ellipticals are fine with me as long as it's walking. I'll probably just watch a TV show or a movie or something like that. God knows they probably, hopefully they've released some new things, because normally I try to go on the elliptical only once a week, because the other 4 days that I do my walking, I just have my same music playlist going down, everything like that. It gets to a point though. The only problem with music playlists though is that it got to a point where I got so used to hearing those songs in a certain type of order that if I were to hear any of those songs on the radio, you're like, in your mind, you're like expecting the next song to come on like after that song's done. Then when you don't hear it, you're like, oh yeah, that's right. Or the worst was, I had one song playing every time that I was about to finish a workout, because it would just time itself up perfectly. Now whenever I hear that song, just walking through Cub or getting, doing whatever, I get that little endorphin rush, because like it's like I
Yeah.
program myself to expect that like
I know.
I'm finishing a workout when I finish this song. So it's crazy, but it does go along with it. But I mean, I mentioned sleep before, and as you can tell, I am a different type of person when it comes to, I normally work nights though, so that's why my sleep is so messed up in the first place. But how do you try to maintain somewhat of a sleep schedule? I know, like, you talked about how much you struggle with it, especially as you get into the more of your prep, but how do you try to maintain somewhat of a decent sleep schedule? Because for me, just looking at what you bodybuilders do, on some of the low amounts of sleep that you have, it's almost superhuman at this point.
Yes. I like to sometimes wind myself down with like sleepy time tea, extra sleepy time tea, and then I try to
I
put
thought you
myself.
said I thought we said wine yourself down. I thought I was like, oh, she just get drunk on wine just to like fall asleep. Then is that?
I wish. Just yeah, wind myself out with wine. Oh, I wish wine had no calories. That'd
Oh
be
my
great.
god! Oh no!
I
I've always made the joke.
all
Like,
the
I've always made the joke. If beer had no calories, and if hard liquor, if they could make like a hard liquor that tasted like a Mountain Dew or a Pepsi,
time. No calories.
I would die. They don't realize. I think there's a reason why they don't do that, because like people would die. I would have so much Mountain Dew and Pepsi. Like, I would be drunk 24/7. Like, it would be, not saying that I'm an alcoholic, but I'm saying like it would be bad. So that's a wish though. It's like, if anyone could come up with like a vodka or anything like that tastes just like Mountain Dew or something like that, just so I could only have like half of a cup of it, and then I'd be good for like the night. Yeah. So
Yeah, that and peanut butter.
that too.
Peanut butter
That too.
zero calories. So yeah, I would kind of try to then to knock my like put my phone away and not trying to be scrolling with the blue light. And I'm not always wasn't always good about that, but I just kind of would try to slip on that. And then as soon as I got sleepy, I would either start reading. Maybe it helps me like read a book, and then I can kind of go to sleep. But I also had to wake up towards the end. I don't know, 3, 4 times a night just to use the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, here we go, waking me up like every 2 hours all the time. I'm like, that's so weird. Like, why are you going to the bathroom when you're leaner? But I guess obviously the muscles, they're not like full, they're just falling off, and you're drinking like so much water towards the end.
You
So
need to
annoying.
basically have a room with like a bathroom connected to your room, really, is what it help. Or, might as well just get like a catheter hooked up to you or something like that.
I know.
God knows. I mean,
I
it's
know.
like people do not understand how much of a disruption of sleep that is, getting up to go. Because like I remember experiencing that myself, where it got to a point where I was just like, if only I lived by myself during that time. I was like, I could have just had a Gatorade bottle and no one would have known the difference. With everything that goes on in this sport, I hear this myself thinking this at least every single time I have a health and fitness guest on the podcast. Why do they do this to themselves? Why do they put themselves through this? Why do they do this? And I know the answer, because I've talked to so many of them, but I bet you still hear that all the time. What is your why that you like to respond to people when they ask you? Is like, Kelsey, why do you put yourself through all this?
Yeah, I know. So for me, like I said, I was an athlete. I love sports. Growing up, I did like cheerleading, dancing, softball, and basketball. I was good at those sports. I would say I was pretty good for a little white girl playing basketball, you know. But I just felt like once I found bodybuilding, I was like, this is my sport. Like, finally, I just felt like it's the one sport I know that I could excel and do fairly good at. And it was also like an individual sport, which I was always on team sports. So that was kind of new. And I just like kind of drained it in my head like, this is a sport and it is a hobby, my passion at the same time. But I also like to think of a sport. And I love to be like an athlete. I like having a goal to run after. And I like going to the gym. I also did a powerlifting prep in 2019 as my off season. just to kind of help with muscle building and for a natural athlete. I'm like, I already am pretty strong with my compound lifts. We keep those in my season competing, so let's just do it. So I love that. And I just kind of like the sense of going in the gym, challenging myself more, pushing myself. Everyone kind of always says this, but it's true. Like pushing yourself to limit. How much can you do? And then it also helps everything else in my life. Time management is like perfect. Everything is boom, 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 boom. Like I kind of get more things done sometimes because I'm like, I have this little amount of time. I know I can have energy to do it. Let me knock it out real quick. And then at night, I'm like, done. Dead to the world. Don't talk to me, people. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes I am like that sometimes. Sometimes I just want to shut my phone off. I think I might do this time around. But yeah. So I just love that. Yeah.
Out of all the skills that you acquire from being a bodybuilder, I think time management is the most significant one. Like people do not understand how really anal you have to be about your time management if you compete
Yeah.
in this sport. Like you have to, everything has to be perfect. A lot of times, like especially people, like if I have moms or dads on here that have kids and they have full-time jobs and they do bodybuilding as well, it's like
Crazy.
you have to have your crap together to a certain extent that a lot of people just cannot dream of. So yeah, and I mean that why is, I mean it's perfect. I mean I understand why people do this sport, but even me, just my human nature, just say like, oh my god, just hearing about like getting that lack of sleep, because like for me it's like if I don't get a certain amount of sleep, it's like I don't even attempt to work out because it's like I know that it's a lost cause. Or I mean I did get like 2 hours of sleep a couple nights ago and I still just did my cardio, but it's just like yeah, that's about as hard as I would go myself. But now my favorite question as we wrap things up. I always say favorite question, and I totally wrapped it. Again, everyone, this is just getting up. I haven't even had my morning tea yet. No, I drink coffee. But if someone were to walk up to you and say, Kelsey, we made a decision. You can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding and everyone would go along with it. What would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Oh, I gotta think about this for a minute.
I can give you my answer, what you think.
Okay.
So for me, obviously, if you're a pro in this sport, my whole thing would be you should not have to like have a full-time job. Like you should be financially supported to an extent where you could just focus on this sport, because people don't understand, like I was just saying, if you would have no obstacles in your life, no kids, no job, no nothing, this is still a very hard sport to compete. Like it still is so time consuming. And so, but when you add on those things, like it becomes
I
so
know.
much harder, where it's like, if they could make it just a little bit easier on these people by, I'm not saying make them all millionaires. I'm saying maybe like have a fund where it's like each person gets like $20,000 to $30,000, just a little bit. So, I mean, obviously like, you could maybe live a little bit like, I mean, it would just to help them, where obviously they can do stuff on the side if they want to have like a part-time job to help support, but
Yeah.
it's like just to have more of that time. But then also with the judging, where it's like, I'm sorry, but I've heard stories where, you compete in shows 2 weeks apart and you have the same lineup and you finish in different places, even though you look exactly the same. And it's all down to that human judgment, which I mean, people don't like to talk about as much as it is, but it is a big factor in bodybuilding shows. And I mean, being a baseball pitcher, like I told you, there have been times where I've even told my catcher, hey, move aside this next pitch. We're going to drill this ump here like that. Who's not giving us like, so it's like, it's not, it's something that can not really be fixed because you're what you want to have robots judging people, but it's just something that I wish that they'd be like, this is overall what we want to look from you, and this is exactly what we're looking for. And I just wish it would be across all borders for the sport, as opposed to like just this one show, oh, we're looking for a bit more leaner look, and the next show is like, oh, you want to be a little bit more fuller and more developed
Yeah,
and stuff, and it's like, come on,
I know.
people. So
Well, that and politics. So yeah,
yes.
that actually would be mine would be, I like that what you said too, because it is so much better when you don't have a full-time job. And mind you, I don't have any kids, so I give praise to people who have kids. I don't know how they do that. That's another thing down the road if I ever become with kids. But also too, like now I'm like this next prep, or sorry, the next show is gonna be in September, and I'm like, crap, I'm gonna be back at school, back at work. So now I kind of have to deal with
Your new
that.
students are gonna have a great awakening to what Miss Bruchal is a great teacher, everyone.
I tell them all the time. I told the kids this like last semester in January. I was like, guys, I'm starting a prep. And then what that means, I kind of try to explain to them. Some of them still don't know what I do. It's fine. I'm not going to sit there and explain it to 12, 11-year-olds. But I told them, I was like, I get hangry. So just keep that in mind. And I'm like, if I'm shut down, and sometimes my students would be like, why are you seem kind of off today? Are you okay?
Thank
Because I'm
God you never met me.
tired out.
I was that kid in middle school. Thank God. I would have ordered like Papa John's and had it like placed right outside your office just so you could smell it.
Oh,
Oh, I was
it,
that type of torturous kid. Yeah. So I was
well,
that.
it was, we had teacher appreciation week, and every single day oh, there's donuts in the mailbox room. Oh, we're having pizza today. Oh, we're having this today. And I just would be like, and all the teachers would look at me and they would always like say little things like, oh my God. And then they're like, how do you do it? Like, I don't know how you do it. And I'm like, it's, I don't know. It's a goal I have. It's what I like to do. I'm sorry that I'm more disciplined than you. And it's kind of funny because I'm like, I look frowned upon when I'm having my chicken and broccoli, but yet someone's stuffing their face with all these pizzas, but that's normal. It's like, it's just kind of weird how that concept is. Like they don't say, am I making sense with that? I don't know.
Yes, because I'm not going to lie when I say this, and I'm not insulting the teachers that you work with, but I'm insulting the teacher. Like, teachers by far are some of the most obese people on this planet. Like, if we're going to be completely honest. And I know why. It's a stressful job, and you get up early in the morning and all that stuff. So I wish more of them would, learn that's because, like, I'm not going to lie. They're not going to listen to this podcast because I'm not going to let them. But I have two friends of mine from high school who became teachers, and yeah, it shows. I'm just gonna say that they're both guys, so I'm not insulting them. Okay, they're not. They're guys, so they can take it. They can take it. Where they're just like, okay, yeah. If it was too lazy, I would have never mentioned it. Where it was just like, okay, yeah. But that's like, yeah. It's like, dudes, come on. You can, come to the gym with me a couple times. Let's get this going. But yeah, it's unfortunate that like a job that's that valuable to and that impactful. It's like you kind of have to sacrifice, and you have to sacrifice a little bit of your health because it's like you are doing this, and so yeah, that's my whole spiel there. But when we do have you on a year from now, where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding? Where would you like to be at just in your overall life? Where would you like to just be at, and what would you have liked to have achieved when we have you on a year from today?
Yeah. I would want my pro card in the WNBF is kind of what I'm going after now. Fell short last week, but hopefully get it in September. And then if not, I'm going to then take the year off to probably next year to build. Maybe a couple. I feel like I need a couple years. I have not been off prep for like more than 2 years. I've had 1 year and then back on prep again. 1 year and then so I want to take more time to build because then I think by then I'm gonna be 30 in August. So I'm like, ooh, back on the stage, 32, 33, my prime. Hopefully I'm not gonna be life doesn't happen. That's my goal. And then I can hopefully
Don't trip and fall and get pregnant.
I know, that's true. No, but also I am kind of going back to school. I know I'm a freak. I like to learn. I might go back to school for my counseling degree, so to be a guidance counselor, actually. So then there's kind of that next goal. I always like to go over something, but I want to help this generation because it's scary and they need help. And I'm passionate about fitness too, but I also think like just because I'm a competitor, I don't have to train and be doing like fitness PE stuff. Like it's okay, I can do something else. And so my passion is me training myself now. I can like I do a couple people online like training, but I'm not gonna be like diving into like personal training. It's just not my thing anymore.
I mean, I got through my 4 years of college, and I was like, I am never stepping within 100 feet of a classroom ever. Even if my kids go to school, I'm never going to a parent teacher. Like, I can't. I'm not. No, sorry. But then it's like, and then I have some people that are teachers. They're just like, hey, I want to do more learning, even though I'm teaching for my full time job, and I'm just like,
Yep.
I don't understand you people. Like, what
Yep.
what happened to you as a kid that like who made you like? No, I always make fun of them. But hey, that's great. We need more people like you. To be completely honest, they need less people like me and more people like you. So it's good that at least that is the case. And I'm as self depreciating as it is. So yes, I know that my values aren't necessarily good for a lot of people when it comes to don't educate yourself really basically. But yep, that there is that. But I mean, yeah, it is insane just thinking about all the things that have been happening, and especially in this society, and don't want to get too much into that, but I mean, yeah, but at least I gotta end this on a positive note. So please admit to me, at least as you're going in your peak, that you will go to the beach and just show off as you're in your peak, because that's all I would be doing. I would be training in all my off season. I would just be at the beach 24/7 just showing off to everyone. Okay, good, thank you. At least there's that.
Yeah. We got the boat in Florida, boat days. Oh yeah.
That's all I would do. Like, that's the only reason why I would probably still compete is like, okay, beach season's coming. I mean, we have a lot of lakes up here in Minnesota, but it's like, if I ever competed, yeah, it's like, because I've talked to some of those people, even in Florida and California, they don't even go out. And it's like, what's the point of even of even looking good then if you're not going to go out? Really, it's like, yeah.
I know.
And when I say go out, I don't mean like go to the bars and stuff like that. I mean like just even like go like, socialize and stuff. I know some of them they're just like hermits, and it's like, what?
No.
That's like being I don't even know how to even describe it. I mean, it's like, that's like being the best at something, and I don't even know, but it's like, I don't get that. So at least there's that, everyone. But yep. And right before we wrap things up, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap it up?
Yes. I don't know if she'll hear this, but my coach, Leanna Carr, I always say this, but she makes prep the best and the healthiest way for me, and always like mindful of my mind too. Because if this isn't right, then the rest and the body is not going to be right. So she's an awesome coach. I've had her for since 2017. So thank you, Leanna, and to my friends and family.
Absolutely. Yeah, they got to put up with your BS as we get closer to the show. So you know, everyone.
I'm sorry for her sometimes. Sorry, Kaisa.
I've always said those are the unsung heroes of this podcast, or the significant others, or the people that are close to these competitors, because they have to deal with a lot. So, yep. Okay, first of all, what's your cat's name? Because I could hear that thing meowing like halfway through.
I know. I'm sorry. I didn't want to.
No, I love that. Are you kidding me? I love it. I'm making a compilation of all the times that dogs of cats have been on the podcast. I gotta tell you before we wrap it up, my favorite cat story is that I had a guy bodybuilder on, and he had his trophies on a shelf behind him. His cat jumped up on the shelf and started kicking off his trophies while we were talking. And I told him, I said, I don't care what you say, I'm keeping that in, because that is the greatest thing that's ever happened. So, yeah.
Her name is Dream.
Dream? Okay. Everyone, she's the first guest that has ever met my family dog that we have here at my parents' house here. So she met Gracie, and I will maybe include that later on the podcast some other time. But again, everyone, we cannot thank Kelsey enough for coming on and dealing with my yawning. Yes, I mean, I was like, I am so being a teacher. Like, I know so many teachers that would have like called me out in class even for yawning in college. So I'm glad that she didn't do that, everyone. But you know, I appreciate you dealing with it, and I mean, you are a great guest to have on. I wish you nothing but the best, and I cannot wait to see where you're at a year from now when I have you back on. And I cannot thank you enough for coming on and sharing your journey with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. Well, everyone, this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the Spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.